But the first half of this chapter deals with God's word to this city of Babylon itself. This ancient city, which has its roots way back in our humanity, to the Tower of Babel. You recall when the earliest fathers descended from Noah tried to bind themselves together and make a name for themselves in the earth to prevent themselves from being scattered across the earth. They built this city of Babel and made this tower to reach up into the heavens, emblematic of their pride and self-assertion. We can ascend the heavens on our own. Our works, righteousness, our religious efforts, our personal zeal can ascend into heaven itself. You see, here is that prototypical emblem of pride in the Tower of Babel. This ascent into the heavens on our own, in our own strength, without God, without reference to God. It is the inner workings of our sinful humanity in rebellion against the Lord. This arrogance that suggests that we can ascend into the heavens and evolve into a higher level of being without the help of a supreme God who is the creator and ruler over all. We can evolve into higher realms of light, if you will, as illumined souls, to use some more modern terms. God came to that earthly city and destroyed their unity by dividing their languages, and they were scattered about the earth. This ancient city developed over time until the days of Isaiah, when it began to assert itself more forcefully and ascend into power. It was a wealthy, powerful city. You remember the prophecy of Daniel, where Daniel goes to Babylon in exile after Nebuchadnezzar came and took the city of Jerusalem. Daniel there in the city has this opportunity to interpret the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar, where he sees a statue with a head of gold. And it is a picture of the magnificence of the Babylonian Empire. The head of the statue is the Babylonians. And all the kingdoms flow out of this Babylonian Empire. And so there was this certain magnificence to the city, to the culture. Indeed, some of the great wonders of earth were there. The hanging gardens of Nebuchadnezzar were supposedly there in Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar's palace was a very amazing place. So it was the jewel of the kingdoms, as Isaiah describes it here. This great city is a city which will come and face the wrath of God Himself. Let's look first of all at why this wrath occurs. We've already highlighted it somewhat already. The great pride of the Babylonians is what would come to the attention of the Lord. Their arrogance, their haughtiness. Now one would wonder why it is that such a rather ethereal, attitudinal aspect of human existence would capture God's attention. Why not the injustices, the economic hardships that they put on the poor in their realm? Why not the way that they conduct warfare and the hardships they put on those whom they have conquered? Why aren't these things brought to the attention of the Lord? Why isn't God judging them because of these things? Well, it's because this pride is at the root of it all. This self-assertion, the sense that you, out there, peoples of the world, owe a living to me. And so I will oppress you, I will extort from you, I will crush you if you do not satisfy my needs. So the Babylonian sin at heart was a sin of pride. And that is what captures the Lord's attention here. It is the great sin of pride that the Lord hates. You find this theme of the arrogance of our humanity Time and time again in the prophet Isaiah, especially in the second chapter of Isaiah, where he talks about those who are lifted up and high and exalted, God will make them low. There is this great reversal that occurs when we try to lift ourselves up by our own efforts and congratulate ourselves for it all. And God at the same time comes and then lowers us and brings us down. This is a warning to those of us who try to rest in ourselves and are self-confident that we can get by, that we are good enough, that we are smart enough, we are powerful enough to improve life on our own. God calls upon us to abandon faith in self and put our faith in Him. But then secondly, notice that the coming judgment of the Lord on the Babylonians is under the rubric of the day of the Lord. We find that in the 6th and 9th verses here of the text, where Isaiah talks of this coming day of the Lord. A day that comes with great terror, wrath, anger. Now, from Sunday to Sunday, we gather on what we call the Lord's Day. At the very top of our bulletin, you'll see it's the Lord's Day. The Sabbath, the day of rest for the people of God. The Lord's Day is in some way a day of judgments. We gather before the Lord, and as we are God's elect, we come under His blessing. As we are united by faith in Jesus Christ, we are rejoicing in the salvation that we have in Him. But the wicked, the godless in the world, have a day of the Lord as well. Now, by the grace of God, that day is restrained. But there is a coming day of the Lord where the wrath of God will be more and more evident. Look at the way that Isaiah talks about this day of the Lord. And once more, you'll notice the dramatic language that Isaiah makes use of. He would have been more than a novelist. He would have been very much a playwright, a screenwriter, someone who makes use of images and pictures. And he has these powerful images to present, to bring us into his message, to not only hear the message, but to see it and to feel it. Isaiah wants to impress upon us the very nature of this day of the Lord and what it entails. And he uses, first of all, an image that we've already become familiar with in the 11th chapter of this banner being set up. And so in some ways you can say Isaiah here is tying together these prophecies with regard to the nations of the earth with his earlier prophecies to the people of God and the coming of the Christ, the one who is a banner set for the salvation of the people of God. There will be this banner that is set up on the high hillside again. Excuse me. But in terms of the nations, this banner comes in judgment. It's the same banner. It's the Lord Himself, exalted on high. Whereas previously He is exalted at the cross for the salvation of His people and ascends into heaven, here He comes in magnificence and in glory. A banner, a place to call the nations of the earth. It reminds me of our pilots who in the Air Force come over a bombing run and target a site with their laser weapons. And they paint a picture or a spot on their target with these lasers, and then the laser-guided bombs are dropped to go right to that target. It's that very same kind of thing which you have here, where this banner of the Lord is established on this high place, as though a target is being set on the earth. And the Lord comes and He gathers all His holy ones. An interesting description here.